Bet you I'm going to spill this beer. All right. Hey, guys. Let's turn that off, all right? Hope all of you in North America enjoyed your weekend last weekend. It was both Canada Day and the 4th of July, and the week before, actually. La Fête Nationale here in Quebec, Saint Jean-Baptiste Day, so it's been a lot of holiday. I guess most of you are still on holidays, and I took a break, so here we are again. I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that I started off with some Cameron Graves, because you guys are starting to buy it, you guys are starting to understand what the deal is, and it's still something I'm playing a lot, man. I'm playing it a lot. So, and actually, you know what? That leads right into some news. Yeah, I guess we'll start with the VJ news. How's that? I always tell you about whether, you know, I tell you about the swing I take, even if I don't make a hit, you know, but I'm always working. You know, I respect you, the audience, and I really like the idea of an artist speaking directly with the audience, you know, so in developing a podcast, I'm looking to put together a series of interviews, and some stuff's already, we already have some ideas, so I'll talk to you a little bit about that, but the idea from the very beginning when it comes to Cameron Graves was just a deep-seated respect for the music, and just loving the fact that it wasn't just Kamasi doing it. Fuck, can you imagine? I'm talking about this guy again. Anyway, look, what it is that I'm trying to say is here in our Vinyl Junkies live Facebook group of 22,000, Cameron Graves is among us. Now, you know, I don't expect him to talk to us or whatever, but he's among us. And if you post up albums, you can tag him and you can tell him exactly what you think of his music. I'm still seeing if an interview can happen, and if it can, cool, you know. And I'm also trying to get an interview with the drummer Ronald Bruner Jr. that's also a part of this whole West Coast get down. So yeah, I'm still trying. A lot of that content, though, is realizing that doing this live thing is fun. I like it. There'll always be a live element, and I really like talking to fellow music fans in this manner, and I really like giving the prizes away. Honestly, you know, there's the visual element. There's a whole bunch of elements that I think are great, but there's one element that's really crucial to me. Ultimately, look, man, you're not, you know, you're not here to watch a clown with fucking records. I mean, it's about the stories, I think, a lot, you know. So the podcast idea really sounds interesting to me, because what it'll allow me to do in terms of develop unique content for you guys is it'll allow me to speak to artists and fellow music fanatics, and we can learn off each other, you know. So that discussion isn't something that we can do live, but I think that it's a critical element, you know, communicating artists and the fans, and we'll see how we go with that, all right? Do you like the live broadcasts? Does it matter? Or, I mean, do you guys really just take the phone, turn it over, and listen to it more than anything? I'm actually curious because I don't know anything about podcasts. So I understand that there's an audience, and I understand really the beauty of it in the sense that you don't have to be anywhere. You download it, you can listen to it in the car, and it's just way easy, right? I get that. Plus the interviews. Okay, so great. Anyway, we're going to be dipping the toes in that, and I'm not sure what the changes are, but all of this is so new, you know, so there's bound to be changes, and I'm glad that some of you guys are going to be around for them. So yeah, another announcement, VJ announcement. Why have I been flashing these fucking awesome Captain Beefheart records? Safe as Milk, mono copy. One of the greatest albums of all time, one of the weirdest albums of all time, maybe the weirdest album I own, maybe. Shall ask. Lick My Decals Off, Baby. If you guys are Beefheart fanatics like I am, you'll probably have read a little bit about all the guys and the legendary stories behind Trout Mask, Replica, this year. All of the musicians, Captain Beefheart just took all of his musicians and put them in a cabin and sequestered them from the rest of society, and they just practiced non-stop for, I forget how long, 6 months or so, or something like that. So much so that it just became part of muscle memory, you know. Why am I saying all of this? Because you'll probably have come across the name John French. John French being the drummer of Captain Beefheart's band, Drumbo. Does the name Drumbo sound any different? That was his nickname. So yeah, Drumbo. Guys, Drumbo's here with us, man, in Vinyl Junkies. Serious. And I've been speaking to him about getting an interview because I want to hear his side of things. And he wrote a book. I don't remember the name of the book, but he wrote a book on Captain Beefheart maybe 15 years ago or something like this. And in speaking back and forth with him, he was saying that he used 27 different sources. And of course, there's the Simpsons attachment with Meta Groening loving the captain, and there's a whole bunch of stories there. So to me, the idea of speaking to him so that we can, you know, put this conversation on a podcast for you, I think that would be amazing. I'd love to hear directly from the guy. So we're in communication, and I hope that it happens, because if it does, dude, man, mind-blowing, right? Come on, Trout Mask, the drummer of Trout Mask. John, seriously, you rule, man. Very, very big fan of your drumming on those seminal records. All right, so those are two big news pieces. I've done the Cameron Graves. Ooh, that light kind of sucks, right? Okay, you can kind of see the cover. All right, well, what I'm going to do, I guess, is why don't I review, what do I start with? Do I start with a review of Wray, or do I start with a review of Popol Vuh? What I'll do is I'll start with the review of the Popol Vuh, because the lighting in this room really sucks and you can't see the cover properly. So, and then we'll move on to Wray, which is really cool. And then there's still another one. Okay, anyway. So, One-Way Static. I couldn't remember the label because One-Way Static is a soundtrack label based out of Belgium, and Sebastian has been a longtime supporter, and he releases some pretty cool stuff. He's released, but like, you know, some dark soundtracks. All of a sudden, what does he do? He comes up and delivers 2 Popol Vuh soundtracks. What I find interesting about these soundtracks is that they're not the soundtracks that we're generally used to talking about when it comes to Popol Vuh. A lot of the time we'll talk about the legendary soundtracks that Florian Frick and Popol Vuh did with Werner Herzog for the movies. So One-Way Static reissues these in a limited series of 1,000, 700 of which are black, just regular black, and then 300, which was some kind of exclusive thing. Trying to find my notes here, but yeah. So this here is a soundtrack called Agape Love, or Agape-Agape Love. And I don't know if it's sold out yet or not, but this is the deal. This guy, why did I put in the notes the roots of krautrock? Well, very much because Popol Vuh were the roots of krautrock. We don't really hear it here, as a matter of fact, especially not on this record over here. Sorry, I don't remember the name of it. Yeah, Spirit of Peace. This one's fun too. I think recorded in '85. It's the soundtrack of a movie that Werner Herzog made about the first mountaineer to climb Mount Everest without any medical help. So he just kind of like went up by himself. So Herzog made a movie about that, and this one features only piano. A lot of stuff that comes out of the krautrock movement, and very much also with Florian Frick and Popol Vuh, is you know, a lot of use of synthesizers. As far as I know, by the time that he recorded this one, Spirit of Peace, he had given away a synthesizer to somebody. I forgot to who, but anyway, you want to talk about really the absolute essence, the absolute roots of krautrock. Popol Vuh is definitely there, and that's very much on a very spiritual, uplifting type of way, which that gets to, a lot of dreamscapes. In this case, it's just piano, but you'll hear a lot of synth work. What I'm really liking about these two soundtracks is both of these is that I didn't know either of them. Again, Spirit of Peace, I believe, and this one's called Agape-Agape, Love, Love, okay? I didn't know of either of them because I generally stopped with just Popol Vuh's soundtracks that he did with Werner Herzog during the Klaus Kinski movies. These are not the Kinski movies. The music's just as good as the Kinski, movies. So that's to say that it's very ethereal. The guy sounds like a little piece of heaven. I think that's probably fair to say. It's absolutely beautiful, and it does steer into some of the more ethereal krautrock, not the heavier stuff. So, look, krautrock's going to come up again and again because when you're talking about a lot of really cool music, it got its starts with krautrock. So what it is that I thought I would do before going into Wray, or should I go into Johnny Cash, is give you a couple of suggestions for more krautrock if you want, all compilation style. So you have these two soundtracks that were put out by Soul Jazz Records, and there's actually another two with different sleeves that are completely different. It's really the very roots of the stuff. If you want the who's who and really some of the quote-unquote hits, these Soul Jazz comps will definitely take you there. So to give you an idea of some of the bands, Can, Harmonia, Gila, Collective, Popol Vuh, of course, La Dusseldorf, Harmonia, Faust, Noy is on it, Cluster, Amandul, and so on and so forth. Ashra Temple, Kraftwerk. So you get the idea, right? And then might as well get the Light in the Attic obvious discussion out of the way because they seem to come up every week. But if you want another great compilation, this is the Microcosm that was put out earlier this year by Light in the Attic. It's a 3 album compilation of all basically either new agey or krautrock, but that whole electronic kind of minimal movement that was happening out in Europe. So a lot of krautrock makes it on it, but stuff like Vangelis also makes it on it, and the packaging can't get any better. I mean, you have an amazing booklet with like tons of pictures. So plus, I mean, the records inside the sleeves are pretty perfect as well. So the Cosmos, or the Microcosmos, actually. To give you the full title, The Microcosmos, Visionary Music of Continental Europe, 1970 to 1986. I should have probably written notes right there, but I didn't because... Okay, so there we go. I think that's done for krautrock. I'll have a drink, all right? Cheers. Ugh. All right. Where do we go from here? Something that I'm trying to do here at Vinyl Junkies is I'm trying to really position it so that every week I give you some news. I give you something that's relevant to you. I mean, you guys spend your hard-earned money on these records and these accessories and stuff, and I totally get that. And I do too, man. You never stop buying records. There's a lot of garbage. There's a lot of good stuff. But what it is that I'm trying to do on the record side of things is introduce you to the music that I really like and just be able to obtain catalogs. So I've been talking to labels, and a lot of fun stuff is coming down the pipe, but about getting catalog for you so that I can always keep you up to date with all of the labels and what they're doing. So let's say we talk about Light in the Attic once again. I'd be able to tell you about all of the news, maybe more in depth than I can right now. Why do I mention them again? Because we'll be mentioning them in the Wray segment of this. But I've been trying to do that, and I have some really interesting stuff down the pipe. But why don't I tell you about some of the stuff that we do have? Why? Because again, this is the content that we're going to get for you. I guess I curate this stuff based on what it is that I like. I try to stay open-minded when it comes to music, so I like to listen to everything, and I love discovering new music. But, you know, Org Music, we'll be working very, very closely with them, and their catalog is worth looking at, because guess what, man? If we're going to start looking at that, they have the Sun Records catalog. So they sent me a big box of records, and check out, these are just the Sun Records ones, right? Johnny Cash's greatest hits. Roy Orbison's first album, Rock House. Didn't know this record before. Howlin' Wolf's very earliest recordings for Sun. Eventually, obviously, went to Chess. Carl Perkins, who wrote Blue Suede Shoes and a bunch of other stuff. Jerry Lee Lewis, and at this point, I'm starting to see a little bit of a theme, right? Jerry Lee Lewis. And finally, this is coming out a little later, which I'll speak to you. But in checking out all of these records, I noticed something. A lot of them seemed to be about the roots of rockabilly. So when you're talking about Sun Records, listen, it's the roots of rock and roll. It's the roots of rockabilly. Now, in digging deeper into the Org catalog, I noticed that they had another rockabilly compilation, and you know, I asked in our conversations, I asked Andrew there, and hey, what's the deal? Are you a fan of rockabilly? He goes, yeah, for sure. I kind of figured, you know, with the catalog that you're picking out, I can see that. So we got into a discussion, and honestly, I know this stuff, but I don't know it well enough to really speak very intelligently. I have all sorts of questions, but I don't know the Sun catalog enough. Okay, so I want to, and I don't want to fake the funk, you know. I don't understand these people who take something and they listen to it once on MP3 and then they review it. It makes no sense to me. You got to like absorb the music. You got to listen to it a couple of times, immerse yourself in it. So when you're handed a catalog like the Sun Records catalog, I would do anybody a disservice and really just not do the music any service, do the music a disservice by just talking about it while having just given it a casual listen. So what it is that I did was, me and Andrew are going to be working on some segments based on his catalog. I want to know, Andrew is the guy who runs all operations for Org Music. Okay, and we'll be working very closely with him. But one of the conversations that we will be having, a regular one, is that Andrew and I will be talking for the podcast on various parts of the Org catalog. What made him choose it? What's so interesting about it? I mean, in the case of Sun Records, yeah, he told me that he's a fan of rockabilly. So a conversation on rockabilly is upcoming. And I'm looking forward to it because I'm sure I'm going to learn something. I love these records, but you know sometimes how you need somebody to connect all of the dots? It feels like this conversation about Sun Records is going to happen. The dots are going to be connected. I have other surprises here as well. I don't want to spill the beans, but one of the first things that we're going to do is I can tell you that these are some of the records that we're going to be giving away. Okay, so all of this Sun Records stuff that I'm showing you right now, you're going to be able to choose one of them. This is the last one. This one you've maybe never even seen, but it is a Barnes & Noble exclusive of a record that's coming out, I believe, August 8th, but in August soon. So, but only Barnes & Noble. And what it is a Sun Records compilation of Sun artists doing Hank Williams tunes. And I didn't know that there were so many. So what winds up happening is you wind up getting into a lot of the deeper catalog. And I haven't even scratched the surface with this yet. So, you know, again, I want to absorb the catalog and I want to learn the catalog and I want to tell you about it. You know, because I think that's what we do here at Vinyl Junkies, isn't it? I mean, we discover music. We love this and we always like talking about stuff. So, but check it out. Artists like Carl Mann, Sonny Burgess, Eddie Bond, Carl McAvoy. I don't know about you guys. I don't know any of these guys, but they're all early Sun artists. So basically, here we have a history lesson of Sun Records, and Hank Williams is the theme. They're all covering Hank Williams songs. Johnny Cash is on this as well. I look forward to learning more of this. Why should you also be interested in all of this? We got, what, 6 records or so? We're going to be working on bundles. As a matter of fact, the bundles we're going to be working on will be applicable today. I don't have the link up yet, but I'm going to be giving you a link to Org Music's online shop, okay, and they put together some bundles. They put together some Sun Records bundles, and they also put together these Sun Ra bundles. Okay, so I got this here, and this here, and then this, right? So these three are all in a bundle. And again, I'm not going to talk about the music too much because I know the material, but I want to know it very well. But the thing that's fun about it for me is that I want to know why Andrew chose these records. First of all, there's tons of Sun Ra records. Okay, Sun Ra collectors buy everything. I get it. And if you talk to the collectors, you know, for somebody to own 30 to 50 Sun Ra records is something that happens. Well, this is the really fun stuff. This is the stuff, let's say, from the late 60s to early 70s. Okay, so it's a lot of live stuff. It gets really freaked out as well. So let's say this one's not that freaky. Not this one. This one is not that freaky. And then for these two, it starts getting really freaky. Two of these albums were recorded on Sun Ra's own label, the Saturn label, or the L Saturn label, which is to say that it's stuff that you'll never see. This is private pressing stuff, and it's the grail of all Sun Ra collectors. They cost a fortune. There's not a lot of them, and everyone wants them. And the people that have them don't get rid of them. So 2 out of 3 of these records are first-time reissues of these albums. And I want to absorb the material a little more. But actually, you know what would be fun too? If you guys kind of told me what you thought. Anyway, check out what I did. What they did is they put together a package there. Okay, I'll put up the link later for you. But they put up a bundle for these 3 Sun Ra records, right? Okay, and all Vinyl Junkies people here will get an extra, I believe, 10 or 15% with a code. So you're going to get a code. I'm going to put all that up for you. And besides getting already something discounted, you're going to get something even further discounted. I can tell you in terms of listening to them, I have listened to them once each. The recordings are great, as good as you're going to get. The print, I mean, the sleeves are pretty sparse. There's nothing spectacular about them. There's no liner notes, which is a bit of a bummer, but they look great. I mean, they're sturdy, but the packaging isn't what it's about here. Honestly, the music is what it's about, and Sun Ra people will lose their shit. This is the crazy stuff. If you don't like crazy jazz, you know, on the other hand, Sun Ra's done everything, and everyone needs some of that stuff in their catalog. So if you like some of the crazier jazz from, let's say, the late 60s to the early 70s, boom, right here. These 3, they're in a bundle. I'll put all that up for you, and I will give you a code just a little later on so that you get an additional discount when you get that. Cool, cool, awesome. So what else? Okay, org music. Let's go a little bit further. There is a lot to say there. Their catalog's deep. They have a lot of CTI records here. Actually, I'm going to leave that there since that's the last one. But they have a lot of CTI records. Okay, I didn't get much of the catalog. I only got Antonio Carlos Jobim's Stoneflower. And in terms of bossa nova and just in terms of chill, kind of slightly psychedelic bossa from the early 70s, you can't get a whole lot better than that. It's a classic record. And they have more CTI, Freddie Hubbard, namely, and others, but the names aren't coming to me. But I'm going to become familiar with that catalog, and I'm going to be talking to Andrew about that catalog, and we'll have those conversations so that you guys kind of get the history of why some of us freak out over CTI records. I mean, I got 50 CTI records, and I pick them up all the time. There are reasons for that, and we'll go into it. So expect a whole lot more talk when it comes to that on the jazz front. But Stoneflower, awesome. Okay, we're going to end with this right here. Just let me get to my notes. Okay. Link Wray. This is the final review, but it's a quite awesome review. It's Mordecai Jones. Jesus, I can't see myself on screen, so now I'm all fucked. You see, this is why it is that I'd rather kind of do podcasts so I can just concentrate on what I'm saying rather than worry about video. Does that make sense? Anyway, I've been talking to you about Wray, and I've been talking to you about the legendary Fatback Sessions. So now I received another album from those sessions, and there's news surrounding that. So it wound up making me read the liner notes a little bit more and getting to know the whole story a little bit more, and it made me really happy when I got this, the second part of the Fatback trilogy, okay, which is Mordecai Jones. Yeah, Wray's name is not on the thing. It's like, you would think Wray is the big name, but no. Mordecai Jones. What it is that I did is I made a bunch of notes and decided to tell you a little bit about Wray. Family affair. 20s and 30s is when, I think he was born in 29 or something, but two brothers, Vernon Wray and Doug Wray. And it was very much a musical family, so they toured a lot and recorded a bunch. What happened was Vernon Wray is the one who began really with playing this country western swing type music, for dances and that kind of thing. And then Wray accompanied. Later, Doug, the youngest brother, accompanied as well. And this is the way it is that they made their money as touring musicians. They're Native Americans as well, by the way. Okay, so all of a sudden the war comes along, and Link decides to serve in the war. He goes off to Germany, he goes off to Korea as well, and winds up developing a bout of double pneumonia and tuberculosis, which fucks up his voice. So during that time, the band's not really up and running anymore. So Wray has this raspy, kind of fucked up thing. For those of you who were wondering where that comes from, that's where it comes from. The after effects of double pneumonia and tuberculosis that he developed during the war. So what happens? The band gets back together. I think at this point they moved to Virginia, right? And they start playing a bunch of areas there. And after a sock hop, they're trying to play a song. They're just trying to figure out a song, a popular song of the day. Let me check the notes. I'll tell you exactly the one it is. The song was called The Stroll. By the way, the band was called the Raymen at this time. Okay, so that's where you start seeing them. So anyway, they're at a 1958 sock hop, and there's a popular song of the time called The Stroll. And they're just trying to figure it out. And it's during that time that Wray just struck those three chords in a certain way, and they noticed that they caught the biggest response from the audience, right? So they took that in note, and that's where Rumble was born, at a sock hop, trying to figure out a song that they hadn't ever played before. So just noodling around, that's how Rumble was born. Described as three chords and a bad attitude, which is, it's legendary. And banned in Boston, banned in Philly, because they thought it would incite riots. So all of a sudden, the Raymen are hot, and they get signed, and they record prolifically, come out with a bunch of singles. Rawhide, one called The Ace of Spades, Jack the Ripper. So, they, and this is actually, I believe, all under brother Vernon Wray started his own label, okay, called Rumble Records. So if you see Rumble Records on 45s, that's what it is. It's Vernon Wray's label, and that's what the connection is. So what was happening then at that point is that the labels, they signed to a major, and the labels were trying to push Wray to play more popular style, more like Dwayne Eddy, and that really wasn't his thing. So the relationship with the label completely broke down. So what winds up happening is they move to Washington, and they play a bunch of rough and tumble streets, and again, just touring gig after gig, doing what they have to do. Eventually, Vernon buys a house in Maryland, and again, the family affair, the father lived with them, and the brothers all lived together. So they would practice in this, they would practice in the house. Now, Vernon's wife did not like all the noise that was happening, so she told them to take the noise elsewhere. What do? They go to an abandoned chicken shack out in the yard and clean it out, and install a 3-track recording studio in there and record out of there. 3 records were recorded out of there. The first one is a record I used to have. It's just simply called Link Wray, and it's a white cover with a picture of Link Wray's side face with a headband and, very native Indian looking. And this is just about the most organic type of Americana country. It sounds so authentic. You can talk about any number of bands that do it right, and then there's some people where you feel captured the soul of what this is really from. And maybe it's me romanticizing the fact that the Wrays were of native Indian descent, but it just felt like their blood is in this music. And the fact that it's in this abandoned shack, with just a 3-track in it, gives it this really honed down feeling that make these records, as I found out only after the fact, very sought after. So stupid me, I didn't know all these stories, and I wound up trading that original Link Wray record, which now I want. But good news is coming. Okay, good news is coming. Light in the Attic to the rescue. So, part 2, the first record of those Rumble or those Fatback Sessions was that one record, right? Link Wray. Then, what they decided is that they were going to try to crack the charts again. So, rather than put Link Wray's vocals in the forefront, because of his vocals being all fucked up, right? They put a younger guy. What the heck's his name? Let me just catch the names, all right? See, podcast, you wouldn't be seeing these types of mistakes, right? Okay, yeah, so Mordecai Jones was an attempt on Wray's parts to crash the charts by having his piano man and mandolin player, Bobby Howard, take the lead vocals under an unassumed name. So this album, Mordecai Jones, there's no Mordecai Jones. There's no one actually named Mordecai Jones. It was a pseudonym, and we don't know exactly why this pseudonym was used for Bobby Howard. There's some story among Link Wray people that there was an argument between the two of them. And what further complicated the entire thing and why it came out to being this way, and this is a pretty weird record, by the way. Again, number 2 in the trilogy. But what's complicated things even worse about that is that when the Wrays signed a contract, their new contract, record contract, it was stated that anybody that lived on the farm can contribute to the record. So what winds up happening is the producer who was born in Italy winds up playing drums on some of the tracks, and Vernon Wray's wife gets credited. So basically, the credits are kind of a bit of a clusterfuck, and that's, Mordecai Jones is one of those weird clusterfuck type of side notes to this record here. I don't know. Link Wray people should maybe tell me more about it, because I think it's a pretty fascinating story. But number 2, check this out, man. Tidal Waves music, by the way, so look for it. Here's where it is that I go back to the camera, okay? Ooh. See that guy right there? Oh, this guy here? That's Mordecai Jones, or that dude Ron Howard or Rob Howard, whatever. I just mentioned his name, but yeah, that's the inside. And the cover, once you fold it out, it's textured paper, so it's really nice. This is where they lived. Very difficult records to find. So the fact that it came out made me happy, because now I got all of the Link Wray that I really want. I still don't have the first one, though. Super frustrating, because that's the big one, right? That's really the big one. Although this one is too, because it's kind of rare. It flopped on the charts. Link Wray, the debut there, the self-titled, also flopped on the charts. But their attempt to reach the market just didn't work. Why do I love this record so much? This one in specific, Mordecai Jones? Because before this week, I realized that that's why I like the Black Crowes. Chris Robinson, the Robinson brothers, had to have known these records very deeply, because there's that same soulfulness in it that screams authenticity. So sometimes it sounds a little bit like Robert Plant, believe it or not. I'm not kidding, man. And sometimes it sounds like Chris Robinson and a whole lot of other things. And to name drop to other people would almost not do it justice. It's a record that I'm really happy I have. But I don't have the first one. Let's move on, right? I said 3 records were recorded during these legendary Fatback sessions. This would be number 3, which I spoke to you before, Beans and Fatback. Now the deal is that this was recorded after they had moved from that original recording shack in the Chicken Shack, right? What happened is that they moved again, and this was released after that. Vernon Wray opened up another studio, and what he did to catch the mojo of that older studio, again, I forget the name of it. What's the name of it? Ray's Shack 3 Tracks. In order to capture the mojo of Ray's Shack 3 Tracks, is he took the back wall. He completely took out the back wall of the shack and had it transported by a tractor so that he can install it into the new recording studio. And it's after that time that Beans and Fatback came out. But you can hear that this was recorded during that exact time. So that would have been the trilogy, right? After that, by the way, in that new studio with the wall is where Link Wray comes in with Be What You Want to Be. And this record here does sound different than the Fatback Sessions. It's not the Fatback Sessions, but it was recorded in that new studio with the Fatback wall, right? Okay, so number 1. Can we see it here? Is it too small? Let's try. That's what the cover looks like. You see that? That little cover there? That's coming out. That is actually in pre-order right now, and it's a record that you necessarily want. I was an idiot for having traded it, but it's coming out on pre-sale right now at Light in the Attic, and it completes the trilogy. So if you were wondering, that's just been announced. You want a copy. I'm working hard to try to get copies of that type of thing as well, because Light in the Attic are... I'm a fanboy. There's no doubt I'm a fanboy. So that's my Link Wray story. Do I have any other stories? I don't think I have any other stories. I think I'm done, actually. Oh, it's a short one this week. Whole beams. Yeah, I'm done. Let's give away some records. Actually, I can tell you right away one person that will be getting one record. Vinyl Me Please, courtesy of Vinyl Me Please. Rod Taylor. Rod Taylor's having trouble, man. Rod Taylor, from Vinyl Junkies, from our community, our forum, our, is had some trouble with cancer. And he's in recovery, and he lost 50 pounds, and that's why he's been off, and he's feeling all fucked up. So he's moved in with Mom, and Mom's cooking is trying to fatten them up. And he shared that story with us just a couple of days ago, and you fight, man. We're here for you. Play those records. I felt so strongly about it that I'm going to get you a copy of Betty Davis's debut album, courtesy of Vinyl Me Please. I looked for the cover. I haven't gotten my copy yet, but I had an original. I can't find it. But Rod Taylor, kick cancer's ass. I'm giving you a record every fucking time you listen to that record, all right? You know that all of us are behind you, and we're all rooting for you. So you fight like a motherfucker. And one that touches home more than I thought. But there was a friend named Catherine Ann that used to be a member of Vinyl Junkies, and she's a wonderful person, but she makes me crazy, and we don't really talk anymore. But, she's a wonderful person. All the fucking chaos that surrounded it, but a wonderful person, right? And she's having trouble with cancer. She's suffering from cancer. And I mean, the reason I know it is because we have a lot of friends in common. And I see it, and I'm sorry for you. And I'm thinking about you, and I love you. And, Catherine, I'm getting you a record, all right? So one way or another, Eric, man, reach Catherine for me. We're going to get her a record. If she wants one of the Sun records, we'll get her that. If she wants the Betty Davis record, we'll get her that. But we're going to get her a record, all right? Because she's going to kick Cancer's ass. Fuck Cancer. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, guys. And Emily Ruth is not doing. You'll be all right, Emily. So yeah, man, I'm done talking. All right, those are the prizes. I need one more name. I'm gonna get that name, and that one name. You know what you're gonna do? This is the prize, and I'm not gonna cry like a fucking bitch during that time. I promise. Holy fuck, what's wrong with me? Okay, you're gonna be able to choose out of these records. Okay. If you want the Hank Williams tribute, you will not be able to get it before the beginning of August 8th, if I believe. But you'll be able to choose one record from the Sun catalog, any of them. Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Howlin' Wolf, Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash. Choose, man. One winner is going to be able to get one of these, and that's the winner I'm going to choose right now. Let's see who it is. Eric's usually good about this. All right, who wins? Who wins? Who wins? Mark Therer. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but Mark Therer, you're going to win your choice of the Sun Records catalog. All right. I'll keep you guys posted as much as I can when it comes to the podcast. It's coming. It's going to be different. And I'm done talking, man. Peace. Oh, t-shirts. Guys, it's been a pain in the ass with the t-shirts. I'm ordering them next week. I have 2 people. They're getting back to me. It's pretty much done. The order is going in next week. I was promised a turnaround of 2 weeks. I'm doing this all locally. I'm going to send your t-shirts to you directly. You're getting them. I'm not running away with your money. I promise I'm not. It sucks that it's taken this long. So much so that, honestly, I'm never doing t-shirts again. I look like a jackass. It's not fun, and it's not worth the heartache. I'm really sorry for the big mess that the t-shirts were, but I'm on it. Next week, they're ordered. 2 weeks, I send them out. I'll send them out myself. All right? And for those of you that have been waiting around, yeah, believe me, I understand. I'd be pissed too. It's a clusterfuck. So, you guys, next week, all right? Peace.